Thanks a lot for joining this session with Itaú team. My name is Julio Moraes. I am AWS account manager serving Itaú Bank in Brazil. Joining me today, present at the session, is Fabio Napoli, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Itaú, and also Wilson Cristoni, who is the Associate Director in charge of digital integration. For those who are familiar with Brazil, recognize that the country is very mature in financial services, developing new and modern products to support a population of 210 million people. Partly because of these few reasons, maturity and market size, Brazil is attracting a lot of financial service companies to develop new products for credit cards, digital payments, personal loans, and others. According Brazil's central bank, the number of fintechs has grown more than 600% in the last 5 years, from 100 companies in 2010 to more than 800 companies in 2020. And part of them are already unicorns. In this session, you will learn with these two executives from Itaú Bank what and why the largest bank in Latin America and one of the top 100 banks in the world, according to Standard & Poor's, is doing to modernize their services and mainframe application, to compete against the fintechs, and also to provide the best customer experience ever. Napoli and Cristoni will share with us a little bit of Itaú's strategy, aspiration, and also the governance model that was implemented to guarantee the cloud modernization success. They will also share with us some use cases with architecture references and AWS services utilized. In this session, we will last between 35 to 40 minutes, and we will reserve the last 20 minutes for questions. Napoli and Cristoni, it's a big pleasure to have you here, sharing your thoughts and this awesome success story with this audience. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Julio, thanks very much for the introduction, for the rich introduction. We are really glad to be here with you today. We are going to share a little bit about our journey to move our close to the cloud and to modernize our system. So thank you very much for the opportunity. Talking about Itaú. Itaú Unibanco is the largest financial institution in Latin America and one of the largest in the world by market cap. We have a full offering of products and services for different sectors of the economy. We are present in 80 countries. We have over 56 million retail customers just in Brazil, around 4,000 branches, and more than 23 million people using our digital channels, mobile and internet. And we are going through a huge digital transformation that's touching all the bank, all the company. So about our agenda today, we are going to cover the reason why we are investing a lot in this program. We are going to talk a little bit about our strategy that we chose, and we are going to talk about our control mechanisms, and finally, the lessons learned that we have learned so far. So, why did we decide to invest a lot to modernize our systems and move to the cloud? Because our ambition is to become one of the best companies in the world in terms of client satisfaction, regardless of the sector, regardless of the geography. We seek all the time to improve the customer experience in every single interaction with the bank. And we have 3 main pillars to drive our transformation. The working model. We are integrating technology and business in tribes that we call internally communities with a strong client vision and a product-driven approach. And today we have roughly 20,000 employees from business and IT working together, sharing the same goals, sharing the same OKRs. In terms of people, that's the most important pillar that we have. In the last 2 years, we hired more than 5,000 employees for our technology team. And today, the technology department has around 14,000 engineers. In addition, we hired, in the last 2 years, around 300 new data scientists, and they are working across all the bank's department. And we acquired Zupi, that is a tech company, a digital native company that is helping us to drive our transformation. In terms of the business platform upgrade, we are implementing the cloud operating model, fully automated, and we seek all the time the right balance between the autonomy for the communities and keeping the security and the quality guardrails that we need to run our business. So, about our modernization strategy, we had 2 possible paths to modernize our workloads, or build everything from scratch, or modernizing using a gradual evolution. To build from scratch would be much more complex. We wouldn't be fully integrated with the business, and we would require much more knowledge up front. So we decided to modernize using a gradual evolution, because with a gradual evolution, we can, first of all, and the most important thing, we can choose the workloads according to the business needs. Second, we are improving quality and productivity over time. And third, we may control the pace according to the bank's ambition. So Cristone will provide more details.
Thanks. Our biggest challenge here is just how to rethink about our businesses without stop our services and products here. And for this journey, we have 3 big pillars or constraints. The first one, we need to transformation our capabilities. Is the first one. The second one, we decided that the customer experience is not optional. And the third one, the legacy would still be present here. It is what it is. Simple as that. And in this kind of strategy, we define 2 paths for following. The first one, it's finding the market, one platform just to use, and integrates this platform with our complex environment. Is the first way. The second one, it's break down our legacy system into new modernized microservices on cloud, and step by step, killing our legacy systems. And about the strategy, the last year, we have invested 150% of our investment to platform upgrade. We have developed a strong cloud governance and developed a framework modernization. Our cloud consumption has been increased more than 2 times when you compare the end of the last year and nowadays. And we have achieved just more than just 8 products, AWS products in Brazil region. And finally, we have signed a 10 years partnership with AWS.
And just to add a quick comment, we decided to move on with AWS as a strategic partner due to the flexibility that AWS had to address our needs in terms of cloud spending, in terms of quality, and the professional services that are supporting us to modernize our systems.
Okay, let's talk about what kind of mechanism we did just for achieve this program. The first mechanism that I will share with you today is about the control tower. The control tower, it's a team for cloud governance, just to help every CIOs and CTOs to achieve our modernization journey. As you said, as you saw in this presentation, it's possible to look that you have 10 different directors here. 7, it's with business proposals, and 3, it's from CTO proposals. The control tower, in general, organizes the plans and it monitors the key results and help every CEOs and CTOs in this journey. The CTOs, in general, provides the partners, the mechanisms like data governance, like cloud guardrails, like data virtualization for improve each business. Each CIO here, they are a partner of business, and together we decided the strategy of each business. And the control tower, in general, organize everything and help every teams just how to organize the correct roadmap for modernization journey.
Just to add a comment, with this kind of governance, we did more in the last 10 months than in the last 2 years trying to modernize. So this control layer is responsible to keep the pace, to keep the quality, and the most important thing is to keep the business approach.
The second mechanism that I share with you, it's about the modernization framework. Modernization framework, in general, using the existing architecture just for sharing information and knowledge between the Itaú teams and the AWS. And consider in this strategy the business strategy by interview for partner of business, and use the tech strategy here. Those inputs that we got in these 3 last steps that I told with you are the business driver, and we are mapping our services assessment here. And after that, we make a portfolio assessment and organize our business services and define our target architecture implementation roadmap. In general, to start here, we look in our modernization pattern library and understand if there are some tooling or practice or best practice for help us to accelerate this journey. After that, we define our blueprint, and every feature that you have developed in this platform follow this blueprint for achieve. The last one mechanism that I'll share with you is about the training. The training, we have developed 3 strategies. The first one is self-learning. The self-learning, it's online training platforms, and follow this path is possible to get the associate level certificate for AWS. Lead by instructor. We had more than 100 people training in this strategy the last year. And on practice or learn by doing, we are working together with the AWS team, and in this journey, there are transfer of knowledge between AWS professional services and Itaú, and the other side also, of course. But we have formed just more than 100 people the last year with this. The first results about this program is more than 1,600 people with certification in our company. And it's a good opportunity for everyone to learn new knowledge from cloud.
And it's important to highlight that this is the largest current education program that AWS is leading with a customer. We are going to cover some use cases.
Right. The first use case that I will share with you, it's about PRR. But what is PRR? PRR means Production Readiness Review. It is a WAF implementation with Itaú LEMS in general that implements our internal process of governance and also all regulations from banking sector. Especially in Brazil, the banking sector is very hard. WAF, or Well-Architected Framework, as I believe that you may know, but it has 5 pillars. They are operational excellence, security, reliability, performance efficiency, and cost optimization. Initially, we had started with a process of peer review between experienced architects and the software engineer by interview and check cloud accounts if the WAF recommendation has been implemented. Our main goal in this phase was help our team to win more experience and knowledge about management products running on cloud environment. But this strategy doesn't work for large scale. For solving it, we built a product which name is uConfia. As you know, this product, in order to help each software engineer to make a self-assessment in your solution before deploy on production, totally automatically. After this delivery, we have noticed 50% of reduction in our number of incidents by deploy. To finally, on the right, you can see the high-level architecture of solution. It's possible to see that you have serverless integrated with third-party solutions like STS, API gateways, and all on-prem environment. The second case that I share with you, it's about cards. Our experience for cards has been rethought. The new solution brings more speed for the business. For example, our new distribution process allowed new business like B2C, keeping other features like B2B. The innovation here was about a native application with architecture-based and use data science for analyzing in near real time. This kind of innovation enables 5 times more speed in each deploy and decreased more than twice between each change. APIs enables our distribution of cards as a service and make possible new business like digital wallets. And finally, this new solution brings a better experience for onboarding new customer in less than 1 minute, the best time in Brazilian market nowadays. The third case that I will share with you, it's about our digital channels. In this case, You have decided just to lift and shift, because to move from on-prem to AWS by lift and shift strategy. In this case, our strategy was, let's bring more agility, cost reduction, and the more reliability and the automation, just use the AWS environment. The first results are, just in the first month, we achieved just 0.15% of impacted customers. 40% less use of services using outscale feature. Lead time for deploying reducing to 20 minutes from 3 hours. And now it's possible to deploy a new version just in one AZ and test with a part of our customers. But here, our modernization journey continues from AWS environments.
So just to summarize, moving our digital channels, our mobile and internet to the cloud brought very important results for us. We got the best in terms of quality, in terms of velocity, and in terms of cost reduction. So the next case is about Pix. Pix is a system created by the Brazilian Central Bank to bring instant payments fully online 24/7, 365 days a year for the whole system, including all the banks and all the financial institutions in Brazil. Pix at Itaú was born in the cloud, and Itaú is the only bank running Pix 100% in the cloud. We faced a huge challenge regarding the timeline, regarding the knowledge that we needed, and with the central bank requirements, but implemented everything according to the schedule, and today, Pix is the main channel to execute bank transfers, and Cristone will explain a little bit more about the technical solution that we used.
Nice. For adding some details in upload introduction, the Pix was born in 100%, as you said, in cloud native application. There are 99.8% of availability in average, and in transaction volume has growth 50% every month. The solution was a pilot of our PRR, as said earlier, and it challenged us how to connect our new platform with our legacy systems. Here, we use a lot of native solutions from AWS, and we need to develop a lot of connectors, a lot of patterns, and manage our environment, because the growth here has been exponential. And how to manage our on-prem to connect here. Please, go, thank you. This slide shows for everyone here the part of AWS and the part of on-prem and all of solutions that connecting our Pix ecosystem. Look, there are mainframe, there are on-prem, and there are AWS. The secret here is how to manage and connect this environment processing. It's so hard, and it's a great pleasure to talk about this today.
So, about our lessons learned. The first learning is about the governance. We did several research with several banks across the globe to implement the best governance to speed up our modernization and also keeping our quality and costs under control. So with this model, where we have the CIOs executing the modernization according to the business needs, the CTOs ensuring the tech foundation, creating the patterns, the tech products used by the CIOs to modernize the systems, and the central governance connecting everything, we really moved the needle. And we did more in 10 months, as I said before, than the 2 previous years trying to move and to modernize our workloads to the cloud. The second learning is about choosing the key metrics to track the program. There is a strong connection between the business OKRs and the systems to be modernized. The success of this program is to choose the right workloads to modernize that creates value for the business and improves the respective OKRs. The third one is related to the framework that we implemented. And as I said before, the modernization execution is spread across all the communities, across all the local CIOs. And every then follow this framework to ensure the patterns that we have created and the best architecture to make every solutions talk to each other. And the last, but not the least, is about the approach. We stopped the tech for tech approach, and we started talking about the business. So with this mindset, we got the buy-in from the C-level of the company. And after that, the modernization is really, really evolving very fast. And the whole banking is talking about the program, talking about the modernization, how it's important for the bank, for the future of the bank. So that's it. Thanks a lot for having us today. Julio, please. We're going to stay here. Thanks a lot. We are available to answer any questions that you have. Please feel free, or if you want to talk after the session, we are going to be available. Please.
Go ahead, please.
I don't know if you can hear me. You invest a lot in your own people to learn the cloud, etc. And you use a lot of technology of AWS. Will you also consider to use other fintech solutions, or you try to build everything yourself?
Can you repeat?
Yes. So just to see if I understood your question correctly, if Itaú decided to purchase any fintech, or if they decided to build it by themselves, yes? So your question is if Itaú decided to purchase a fintech and also to build their own services using AWS, yes?
It's more about future strategy.
Oh, future strategy.
So, okay, perfect. So the question, just to everybody listening, is about what is the strategy for the future in terms of modernization and so on. So what we have in mind is, the first thing is, we have to understand what is needed from the business. Once we understand what is really needed from the business, we try to find some solution that is ready to use. And we integrate to our solutions using specific patterns, using specific mandates, like security mandates, governance mandates, operational that we may receive, and the data, that all the data we can hire a specific solution that's ready, but the data belongs to the bank. So we decide to do that, and based on that, it's not necessary to create everything. It's not necessary to use everything from the scratch, as I said before. Mm-hmm. What is really important is how you integrate everything following specific patterns, and we are creating what is from the core business of the bank. So we are evolving our current bank accounts, but everything that may be connected, that's ready from the market, we use. But we never forget to keep the pattern in terms of security, in terms of operation, in terms of data. If you use that, if you have this foundation already done, it's very easy to implement, to interconnect everything. It's not very easy, but it's better to integrate than build everything from scratch. De nada.
Does anyone have any question?
I was curious, when you have a team that's working inside the business that's trying to build or implement something that maybe you don't have a pattern, what's the process or the engagement between like cloud governance and the business to collaborate and build a team pattern?
Perfect.
Yes.
I can repeat.
Yes. Can you speak a little bit?
No, I can repeat to everybody understand. How is possible? Because you have a specific team that's working with the business, and how is possible to keep the pattern, to make everything talk to each other, and to follow that specific pattern to ensure that everything is done by a specific pattern, yes?
It's more about if you're trying to build a new pattern, what does that look like? Like if the business has a need that has been covered by a pattern that exists, and you have to build a new pattern, what does that collaboration process look like between the business and the cloud governance?
Okay, so what we have today is we have the local CIOs that they are working with the business. They work together. They understand what is needed. So based on that, they understand what is the customer problem and what's necessary to do to evolve that product to address that specific need. So this is the local CIOs. And we have the CTOs. I think that I can return to the governance. I think that's easier to explain. Just a few slides. For sure, it's going to be the last one. Here. And then you have the CTOs that are responsible to create the tech products, to create the patterns. And of course that we work together. We develop the tech products with the CIOs. And we have a central governance that understands each CIO agenda to interconnect with the right product and to develop the right product from the CTO side. The CTOs, they must follow what is needed to evolve the platform. It's not, again, it's not a tech for tech approach. I am one of the CTOs. I really would like to create several different products. But what we have to do is we have to understand the needs, and after that we have like it's not a backlog, but we have a list what is more needed that time to integrate, to create the products, and to address the customer needs. So this is the way, and we have AWS working with us. We have what we call pods. The pods are specific teams that we have engineers from AWS and engineers from the bank. They are working together. They are following the framework that Cristone presented to ensure that the patterns, the architecture, is the way that we need to evolve our platform. But again, everything is really interconnected with the business. So we have the business OKRs, and we have the systems that we choose to modernize. And these ecosystems, we try to orchestrate using this central governance. It's a way that we try to balance the speed, because the modernization is done by the CIOs. The CTOs provide the products, and the quality, because we ensure the patterns that we have to follow. And the products, when we have a product from AWS, we have our internal marketplace where we put the products with the correct guardrails and so on to be used by the CEOs. That's the way that we ensure the pattern. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, please.
Does cost management cloud be a challenge?
Yes, the cost management. I can start then.
Yes, in general, yes. But it's one of this pillar in Control Tower is just manage about the cost and provide tooling for each tribes or squad to analyze your cost. In general, the central governance remember everyone about it, and there are some products like, for example, API gateways that in each account is not a big deal, but when you summarize every account, this cost is very high. But it's a manager. It's a great challenge.
I think that one comment that's important is because you have to change the way that you manage your costs. When you have the traditional way to manage your infrastructure, you have everything centralized with a team that's going to buy the equipment, and then after that you have to wait 3 or 5 years to replace everything and so on. And now, the way that we are implementing FinOps, where we have a central team, a small central team, that is controlling the accounts and provides the reports and so on for each business, for each CIO to understand the costs. And if I'm going to be really open here, it's really difficult to do that. And sometimes we have to stop everything and put one specific team to see everything that's not according to the right consumption that should be using. So to manage the costs is really difficult. It's really difficult to manage the credits that we have when we evolve to our consumption with AWS. So it's a huge challenge for us, and we are learning. I can say that the FinOps with a small team, a specific team, but the execution is spread across all the local CIOs. The transparency is very important to provide to everybody to understand how to manage their own costs. This is, I think, that the main challenge that we have to solve.
I believe that we have one more question. Yes?
Yeah, when you were talking about lessons learned, you talked about how you had to put a framework together to ensure the quality of the code that was being uploaded to AWS. And I hear you talk a lot about the CTOs and the CIOs working together, but obviously the CTOs and the CIOs are not in the code review session. So how do you get that pushed down to the individual level of the team and squad so that, I mean, based on the employees you have, 1,200 or more engineers, that's a pretty sizable task. So how did you practically do that?
Quer repetir a pergunta?
Right?
Não.
Vocês querem?
Repete a pergunta para mim.
No, the question here is
It's-
how we ensure the
Yeah.
agenda.
Especially for the top bottom message for everyone that is in the pods and the squads, because they have more than 200 people in the professional services work with them. Yes? Yeah.
Okay, in general, we have every week one kind of check-in about our goals in modernization. Each CEOs and CTOs talks every week how the work is. And this kind of alignment between the C-level and the director, in general, moving our team in this direction. And you have one business platform upgrade committee where we share lessons learned between each team. And it talks about how hard it is to move, how pattern doesn't exist, for example. And this kind of conversation is really open nowadays in our environment. And probably this kind of stuff help us in this journey. But at the first day, we told for everyone, we need to learn together. And please put the facts on the table and let's discuss about it. It's simple in quotes here, but it's a big challenge, as I said.
And we have some mechanisms like the modernization is done by Itaú team and AWS in pods. And we have leaders for the pods, and they know very well the architecture, they know very well the patterns that we have to follow. So that's a way that we try to ensure this pattern. But it's not an easy task. And one thing that we have that is related to the culture, when we go to the cloud, we are not expecting to have 100% of availability in the first time. So we have to learn. We have it's not covered here, but we have a very strong post-mortem way of working to understand what was wrong. And we try at least to solve all the problems across, when we get a specific problem, how we solve across all the solutions that we have. So, but it seems that it's easy saying, but it's really hard to implement. We are 1 year working really hard to evolve this program.
Pleasure.
Go ahead, please. Understand. Can you repeat your question, please? Can you repeat your question and speak a little louder, please?
Could you share your major mistakes or failures you encounter in your hybrid journey?
The mistakes. We have several. We would need a little bit more time. No, I'm kidding. I think that when please, Christian, feel free to add something. I think that in the beginning, we tried to do several things by ourselves and without this kind of central governance. What I'm saying here is it's not a matter of command and control. It's not this. Mm-hmm. The execution is spread, but it's a huge program. If you do not have something that is centralized to ensure the pace, to ensure the orchestration, it's really difficult to move on with this kind of program. Today we have a unity that we call our evolution, that is the business services. Business services are features that are available for the end users. And today we have more than 4,000 available for the end users that we have to modernize. So it's really difficult if you do not have a strategy, if you do not have someone that is sometimes saying, is this right? Is this really creating value for the business? Why are we doing this kind of thing? Let's start with a multi-cloud provider. It's really difficult to start. We are really evolving right now. We are investing in knowledge too much, so it's really difficult to do that. So I think that maybe trying to start a program like this size without this kind of model that we have today, the CIOs, the CTOs, and the central governance orchestrating everything, I think that this was the biggest mistake. We did several small mistakes, but I can say that it was really difficult in the past to trying to orchestrate a program like this without this vision from the top to understand everything that's moved on. This is something that really moved the needle for us.
So his mic is not working. Mic is not working.
So, Cristone, please.
No, it's working.
No, go back.
So that's it. I don't know if I answered, but I think that this is the main problem. A huge problem like this one, we need an organization that's possible to address that. The first thing that if you can return 3 years ago, maybe this model where you have the CIOs, the CTOs, the central governance, is the main lessons learned, in my opinion, to make the program evolve.
To add in something very fast here, probably in technical perspective, if we did the patterns more early, probably we achieve a lot of moving fast. Probably is a different thing that I will do if I manage this kind of product again.
I think that.
Please, go ahead, please.
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
First of all, congratulations on the payments, the payments platform. Maybe have a memory of thinking about that. My question is related to this design as part of the governance modernization because I think architecture or technology is the challenge of most because it's an impact on the customer themselves. If it doesn't work in the right way, based on how we manage. What was the challenge of explaining and making it differently like on board to have something completely on that with traditionally hybrid or
Especially for this question, I suggest to talk with you after this session because the manager, the specialist and manager about this solution is here, and probably he provides more details for it, right?
I don't know if I have the creator of the Pix in front of me.
Yes.
I don't know if he has
So
that.
the amount of Dantas, the amount of the transactions that that Pix done today? Yes, considering the Brazilian market, in this specific for Itaú.
A new number that we can talk.
Can you hear?
This Black Friday, we create a payment only on Itaú 1 million earphones. And if we think that we represent half of all the markets, we're talking in 1 day and about 3 million only earphones to be paid by the Pix solution. And we think more, we can talk about more millions. So we're talking about 5 million circulating per day.
Per day. Yes, the question is about the instant payment project that Itaú conducted some kind of month ago. And the question is about the volume of this application Pix, the daily volume, and the amount of the amount of the transactions considering the role Brazil systems. And so, can you answer it again, Dantas?
We are talking.
Do you have a mic to share with him? Yes, it's better, because we are going to receive the information directly from the guy. Thank you, Jaime.
Obrigado.
Well, in resume, I'm talking about 1 day, that last Black Friday, that we can create it more than 1 million QR codes to be paid. And we think that's our statistics that we run at about a half of all the markets of this day. So we can talk about 2 million QR code paying in 1 day, in last Black Friday. And we think about all types of Pixes that we have by transfer money and other things. We can add more 2 million. So we can think in 1 day is a big day, that was Black Friday. We can talk about 5 million transactions in 1 day in all markets.
Okay. Thank you, Dantas.
Thank you, Dantas.
Please. Okay, so the question is about the strategy that we are following with AWS or multi-cloud strategy. What we decided today is, if you have a software as a service, we can use it from different providers. So the only thing is that we need to keep the mandates, the patterns, to integrate everything with our systems. But now, when we say that we are modernizing what is in our mainframe, and then we move to the cloud, we are using AWS now. We were deciding between multi-cloud strategy or move on, at least in the beginning, with a single provider. And we decided to move with a single provider because you need to get knowledge. And I think that was the best solution to start a movement like this size that we have.
So, given that you're not going multi-cloud, do you have a multi-region solution with AWS implemented? Implemented or planned, or can you talk a little bit about how you did the multi-region work together?
Yeah.
So,
In general, it depends on the business. For example, in Pix, there are multi-region, especially because we have SLAs, regulatory SLAs. But it's which kind of solutions depends on our business requirement in general. But for example, in PIX, in this case here, has been implemented. It's not big deal for us. But in general, for regulations, right, we need just running the most part in Brazil region. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of other regions also in the AZs.
And I think that's important that in Brazil we have 3 availability zones from AWS. So what we have today, when we have a product that we take from AWS and we internalize and then put in our marketplace, the code related to that specific product needs to cover at least 2 availability zones, and we are improving to have 3 availability zones. So when someone is using that product, when runs that product, we have 3 different availability zones. In terms of the regions, depends on the latency, depends on the application that we have. And today, when you compare with what we have internally, today we have 3 data centers internally on-prem in 2 different regions. They are, I think that is 100 kilometers in terms of distance. So when we move our workloads to AWS, to 3 different availability zones, and each availability zone has more than 1 data center, we are increasing our reliability, our availability. And for those applications that are not latency dependent, we are trying to use Virginia region. We have some workloads in Virginia, but it's not a requirement. If we do not put our workloads in different regions, we are not allowed to move on because we are evolving our availability with the 3 availability zones provided by AWS in Brazil. Can you start?
We have specific engineers from infrastructure to develop the templates and the patterns for everyone uses. But every tribes or squad could challenge this solution and evaluate just for, okay, yeah, I need more this feature. Okay, this code it's open and you can evaluate and share with everyone. It's simple as that. Inner source is reality in our environment. Yes.
And this is really important because we speed up a lot. Because imagine the cloud team is around 200 engineers. It would be impossible to provide the products for all the CIOs when we have 10,000 engineers that need that specific product. So with the inner source, we can build together using the patterns and so on, put on the shelf, and it's available for all the teams that they need that specific product. So, and again, this is the this is the mindset, this is the vision that we are implementing. Some cases is working very well, other cases we have to evolve, but this is the way that we try to keep the pattern and to speed up the modernization with the CIOs, creating the products with the CTOs when we don't have that specific product on the shelf.
Yeah, we are running out of time. If you want, we can discuss a little bit about partners out of the room. Could it be this way?
Do you think that we have time? Or?
Yeah. Does anyone have any question? I believe that we have time for more one.
About the teams of this pilot of these, they are now currently going on Itaú or using another enterprise, another services.
And more time, I suggest you talk about the peaks on offline here, because I could connect you with the specialist and the manager of the solution that's here.
About the software developers, are all employers become employers, or
There are
They're from
employers, there are patterns, there are a lot of things.
But the most parts from Itaú, it's internal. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. We had some outages. Okay. We have some important workloads that are already running in the cloud, like the digital channels that I said. And we unfortunately, we had some, I'm not saying that it was a huge outage, but we already had, because some specific services, managed services that we rely on, because we do not want to manage all the services. If the first choice for our side is, if you have a service that's a managed service from the cloud provider, so let's use. And we faced some problems regarding the architecture that we were following, because shouldn't be 100 dependent for that specific service. We should have a DR without using that specific services, as it was not a transaction service. So this is something that we faced some problems, and we are learning a lot how to avoid that. And one tool that's really important is what Cristone presented, that is the PRR, the Production Readiness Review, because it's automated. And if you want, the responsible for that's here with us, and he can explain, because this is something that you have the architecture, you have the pattern, and you have the tools to understand the accounts that we have if they have a specific problem. So, like this one that we faced when we were using a managed services, that we could overcome that problem without that service, because it was not a transaction. Now, we have a feedback for the tool to try to address that automatically when we move on with different workloads that we move to the cloud. So I think your question is really, really important. And if you want, I can connect you. He's the one. Okay.
Yes, we are out of time. Thank you for everyone for being here. Napoli, Cristone, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for the.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.